Yokoso, yokoso, yokoso. Arigato gozaimasu. Yes, it's Monday. It's 10 p.m. UK times. That can only mean one thing. Yes, it's the Stadia Monday Night Chat show with me, Clive Hillenden, here once again to inform, educate and entertain you on all things Stadia. How are you all? How are you? I hope you're well. I hope you're good. Say hi in the chat, mingle, introduce yourselves and all of that. You know the score. I hope you are all well. September is upon us. Sadly for some maybe, that back to school dread is in my bones. I don't think it ever leaves you. And as a dad, I feel that dread vicariously through my kids now. But it does feel like summer is over. And we look forward to what should be a busy 3 months or so for Stadia. If it's anything like the flurry of activity we saw towards the end of the year last year. We've some huge games due as well, we know, due to arrive over the next couple of months. In fact, over the next few weeks. We've got FIFA, we've got Life is Strange, True Colours, this week, I think, or next week, couple of weeks, Riders Republic, Far Cry 6. So much, much more. But ladies and gentlemen, before all that, let me know in the chat what you've been playing, of course. Also, let me know your thoughts on Ark Survival. We'll be talking about all of those things as well. Let's go and say hello to the early birds, those with an apple for the teacher, who are in first thing. Proto.p, hello. Yes, straight in with the notifications. Mastar S, lovely to see you, sir. In lead. Jerry, Roger, and of course, Jerome. Lovely to see you all. As I said, let me know what you've been playing in the chat and all of that. I have been playing, of course, most of the pro games. Darksiders. I'm enjoying that. I'm enjoying Darksiders. We'll come to it. We'll talk about some of the games in more detail when we come to it. Victor, hello. How are you, sir? Cloudbusters, yo, sir. Lovely to see you. Red Dead Online. I've started playing that now for the first time. Having fun in that. Little Big Workshop, of course. One of the pro titles. Wave Break. Far Cry 5. Just playing it, 10 minutes ago I was playing Far Cry 5. Just making my way through the little tasks and jobs. And also, ladies and gentlemen, I came into possession of a brand new mobile controller. I think I mentioned it last week. Or maybe the week before. It's this, ladies and gentlemen. The Shax S5B. This is quite a novel controller. So you can use it as a controller in this form. Yeah, like a conventional controller. Like this. And it's got your classic XYAB buttons. Your XYAB buttons there. So in the kind of Stadia Xbox format. Or you could put a mobile phone in the middle and use it as a mobile gamepad. And it works by Bluetooth. So a really handy, nifty, if you're on the go, yeah, put that in your bag. Comes with a nice carry case. Put that in your bag. And then, you can play games on your laptop with the controller like this. Or if you're out and about with your mobile phone, slip it in the middle there. I'm still looking at it. I'm doing a review of it, of course, see what it's going to be like. But I've played with it. It's quite good. It's not too bad. I'll have a full review of that on the channel very shortly, so make sure you look out for that. Proto.p, I get to suffer with research on how to start Ark Stadia server. The community wanted it, but I'm going to start one if I can find out how. Lol. Good luck with that, because I'm having trouble with the game itself. Wish there was a tutorial. SpongeBob, shout out to SpongeBob there. Been playing that. good choice. I do like that game. But yeah, so it's good to see the old, the pro games there. Plenty of variety as ever. Right, quick reminder before I forget as well. Hit the likes. You know the tune. Because I like it, YouTube likes it, and it helps people like you find content like this. And if you are new here, big welcome. Thank you. Please consider whacking that subscribe button, toggling the notification bell, so you know when I go live with content like this, ladies and gentlemen. Quick water of the tonsils there. Right. Let's do the news, ladies and gentlemen. Get to the news. Actually, before I jump into the news, ladies and gentlemen, we're always so eager for the next bit of news, the latest bit of news. As a new month has commenced, I think it's worth, ladies and gentlemen, just reviewing the last month. As I think I mentioned in the show last week, or maybe the week before, we sometimes become so focused on the now, on the right here, the right now, just only looking at the news right in front of me, that we kind of forget about what's just gone and also what's just coming. And we don't see the bigger picture all the time. And sometimes it's good to just stop and just see what actually happened in a month rather than in a snapshot of a day. One of the things that really gets my goat is when I read on Twitter and Reddit, Stadia's problem, right, is the lack of communication. And I think, well, what? Twice a week is not good enough for you, yeah? That's what she said. Twice a week they communicate. I think what people mean is that Stadia's not saying what they want to hear necessarily, and that's a different thing. But this idea that Stadia doesn't communicate, they communicate twice a bloody week, for goodness sake. Anyway, maybe some people have just become blasé about it. We take for granted that we get this constant stream of news from them twice a week at least. And maybe, we just want more news. It's like a kid at Christmas, who just wants to open the next present for the sake of opening the next present. Doesn't stop to look at what that present was or spend time with that present before moving on to just like, I've opened it. Yeah, thanks. Next present. Yeah, I've opened it. Thanks. You've got to stop and enjoy the present before you open another present. That's the rules in my house. Yeah. Don't just go ripping open all the presents for the sake of ripping open the presents. You need to cogitate. Enjoy what you've had. Rather than the give me some more, give me some more, give me some more. Yeah? Anyway, I digress. Yeah. People like that. You know what I think. Anyway, I digress. Ladies and gentlemen, I digress. What I'm talking about, of course, is there was a Stadia save point, ladies and gentlemen. A Stadia save point. Yeah, for August. Stadia save point for August. So we can catch up on that just to give a kind of overview of everything that's sort of happened and stuff like that. It just gives you a bigger picture. I think the monthly blog they do just gives you a sense. I mean, there's a lot of stuff. We just have a look here. So in August, we had 6 pro games. Paw Patrol, It Came From Outer Space and Ate Our Brains, Epistory, Killer Queen Black, Valkyrie, Complete Edition, and Grime. That's 6, isn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. 6 games. 6 pro games last month, that was. Yeah. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, we had a chance to play free games. Yeah. Rainbow Six Siege, Elder Scroll Online, and Far Cry 5. So effectively 3 weekends of free gaming. So you got 6 pro games, 3 weekends of free gaming. In addition to that, we saw the release of Ice Age Scratch Nutty Adventure, Madden, hello, Madden, Humankind, everybody going on about Humankind, and Young Souls. So 1, 2, 3, 4 game releases, 3 free weekends, and 6 pro games, all in August. A quiet month. Yeah, a quiet month traditionally. Excuse me. Gone all croaky. In addition to that, ladies and gentlemen, and there's more. There's more. Come here, there's more. Right? If the 6 pro games, yeah, the 4 brand new games, the 3 free weekends, yeah, wasn't enough for you, ladies and gentlemen, in August, we got direct touch on Android. Interact directly with the game using your phone touch screen by tapping, sliding, pinching. That was available on Humankind on Android, coming soon to iOS. They rolled out the Explore tab on mobile, so you can view gameplay captures, game states, using State Share, as well as the news from the Stadia community blog. You can now change your Stadia name without sort of contacting Stadia directly and going through the sort of the Stadia Help Center. Who's changed their name? Who are the what's the word? Fair weather people. Yeah, who are the fair weather people who check, like my son, constantly changing his Xbox name? Yeah. Get a name, you stick with your name, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, that's what I say. You're born with a name, you stick with a name. But anyway, if you want to change your name, change your name. So yeah, just so much. Then we had, not only that, then you had content, so various DLC releases. Assassin's Creed Valhalla, Siege of Paradise. DreamWorks Dragon's Dawn of New Riders, new games, that foreclosed. Gigantosaurus the game, Grime, Humankind. So actually more than 4 games. Ice Age Scrat's Nutty Adventure, NFL 2, as I said, Black Panther DLC, Paw Patrol Pups Save Adventure Bay, Paw Patrol the Movie Adventure City Calls, and Young Souls. So actually more than 4 games. That was all in August. And then there were just some announcements of what's coming in September. But I just think it's worth just stopping over that. Just to sort of, that's a lot of stuff that happened in August. A month when people are meant to be on holiday and away. That's a lot of stuff. We become so obsessed with just what's the news of the day. What's the news of the day? Any news today? Has there been any news today? Has there been a tweet? Has there been a tweet? When's the blog post coming out? Is the blog post out? Is the blog post out? Stop and think. Exactly. There's tons of stuff that happened in August. Anyway, I just thought it was worth taking a look at, ladies and gentlemen. Just worth taking a look at. Anyway, let's go back to this week. The news of the week, ladies and gentlemen. The news of the week. Catch up on that. So, of course, saw the release of pro games. Ark Survival, which 5 pro games. So originally then, last week, I think they announced 4 pro games. And then in the end, they released 5. So 6 pro games in August, 5 already. Bearing in mind, we were meant to have, I think, True Colours releasing on pro either October time until it was knocked on, September, October. Maybe some other pro games still to come, I don't know. But 5. Ark Survival Evolved, which I'll come to. Darksiders 2, Definitive Edition. Little Big Workshop, Legend of Keepers, Career of a Dungeon. Little Big Workshop, full stop. Legend of Keepers, Career of a Dungeon Manager, and Wave Break, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know if you played all of those. I've dabbled in Ark Survival Evolved. I'll come to that. Darksiders 2. I'm really enjoying Darksiders 2. It's an old game and you could tell it in its sort of overall game design. But there's something I quite like about that old sort of, Lara Croft sort of 3D platforming style game with a bit of combat. And I like the voice as well. I like the voice, the character acting in Darksiders. So it's a fun game. It feels a bit like an old game, plays a bit like an old game, but it's designed a bit like an old game, but I'm really enjoying it for all those reasons. Little Big Workshop's quite fun and addictive. I could see myself spending time on that. I haven't played Legend of Keepers yet. I've heard that's a game not to sleep on. And Wave Break, I struggle with it. Even though I'm a fan of snowboarding games and skateboarding games, I struggle with Wave Break a little bit. But I keep going. I like the music. I like the design style. I just struggle a bit with it. And also, bonus, Blue Fire, which they said would be longer available to pick up with Pro. They were pleased to report, happy to report, it will in fact remain available to claim free with Stadia Pro for quite some while. I wonder why that is. Do you think that they've made a mistake, or do you think they sort of got them to re-sign on the new contracts that, gives them a cut of the Pro? Don't know, but if that is the case, that's very encouraging. If Blue Fire was, if the developer was tentative about having Blue Fire for too long on Pro, and then the new business model convinced them to keep it up there, that is, I'd say, is encouraging. Don't know about you. We don't know it's that. Could just have been a mistake. Of course, this weekend just saw Watch Dogs Legion free weekend. I didn't partake in that. I've got it as Ubisoft Plus, and I may start streaming it, or Lord Kensal may start streaming it on Tuesdays. I don't know. Haven't decided yet. But let me know if you took part in the free weekend. Another free weekend. So not only the free weekends of August, plus the ones of July, plus it's becoming a habit, ladies and gentlemen. Stadia, these free weekends, keep them going, are definitely a bit of a habit. And the big thing here, Ubisoft now, and it wasn't just Ubisoft in a few extra countries. This is the important thing here. Ubisoft Plus everywhere you can get Stadia. So in every Stadia territory, you can now get Ubisoft Plus. So I know there are people in the Netherlands and stuff like that who didn't have it. Now, every Stadia territory, all 22 countries, is it 22? Yeah, all 22 countries now, you can subscribe to Ubisoft Plus. So that is great. I'm still subscribing to it. I'm not sure if it's a luxury just to have it. I'm spending a lot of time on Far Cry 5. I probably could have picked that up in the sale for about £8, probably a while ago. I don't know. I'm not convinced yet, but it's just nice to have. If you can afford it, it's nice to have, I think. Ubisoft Plus. Just, you've got those games. I've got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I might start Watch Dogs Legion, plus a handful of Ubisoft games we know are right round the corner. Imminent. Yeah, imminent. That's all I'm saying. I told you we've got a busy few months. We've got at least those extra 6 Ubisoft Plus games coming any minute now, ladies and gentlemen. And of course, I mentioned there, you can change your name, change your handle on Stadia, you wishy-washy person. Your name's your name. Your gamer tag's your gamer tag. Don't be like an 11-year-old, constantly changing it, like I said, like my son. If you didn't, $10 to spend in Stadia store for those that never did spend their $10 last year. Interesting. And of course, a mega indie sale. So all in all, Curtis says, of course, all the DLC content. Of course, that is the big thing about Ubisoft Plus. Yeah. You're getting the full package, Dave. You're getting a full package, aren't you, Cloud Gaming Dad? I said Dave because Dave's there. You said hello, Dave. Confused me. Hello again, Dave. Right. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let me know which of those pro games you've been playing. Which are the standout pro games for you? For me, Darksiders 2 and a little bit Little Big Workshop. Personally. Anyway, there we are. That was the week's news, and you know, Stadia aren't resting on their laurels, as it were. And actually, talking of August, what were your highlights from August? What were the big things? Were they the tech features that they added, or the games? Was it Madden? Things like that. Let me know again. Let me know in the chat. Busy. But a good selection, a nice broad selection of pro games, I'd like to think there. Konbanwa, arigatou gozaimasu, yokoso. Yoshida. Right. And I say, they are not resting, ladies and gentlemen, they are not resting on their laurels, because it looks like we have a new game. New game alert. I should have a siren, shouldn't I? Have I got a siren? No, I haven't, no siren. New game alert, ladies and gentlemen. New game alert. Shout out to Original Penguin. Now, this is interesting. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. So, just rated for Stadia on ESRB. Just rated for Stadia on ESRB. Katamari Damacy Reroll. Katamari Damacy Reroll. Yes. This is quite an old game, I think. About 2017, if not earlier. It was on the Nintendo. It was on PlayStation as well. Now, this is fun. This is a fun-looking game, ladies and gentlemen. I will play a little bit of the trailer.
So ろそろ出発しますよ。はーい。
臨時ニュースです。星空が突如なくなってしまいました。原因は現在調査中とのことです。
I'm just stopping the... Whoa! Dave Hanley there. Thank you for becoming a member. Thank you very much. Appreciated, sir. Yeah, so... Katamari. I've muted the... I've muted the desktop because I don't get copyright struck on the actual music. I just wanted to hear the Japanese talking at the beginning. So the idea in this, you basically roll around and pick up stuff to make the biggest Katamari, the biggest ball. I seem to remember this, an original version of this, a long time ago. Like on the Cube. Maybe the Wii. I should have done more research. Yes, Katamari. Yeah, anyway, so rated on ESRB, and interesting enough, on PlayStation, Metacritic, so the PlayStation version on Metacritic got 82, a rating of 82. So pretty good, ladies and gentlemen, pretty good. Let me know what you think, but I think that's quite exciting. Even though it's an old game, it's a classic. It is a classic, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah, so given that, the quality of the ports, though, is questionable. We will come to that, Mike, Rolf. I don't think you are wrong, although don't tar every port with the same brush, in fairness. Yeah, there are some good ports and there are some bad ports. So it's a mixed bag, I think, which brings us nicely, of course, to Ark. Now, I've tried playing Ark before when it was on Xbox Games Pass. So my experience of Ark, and this is I'm not going to get into the whole everything's got to be 60 frames per second or I'm going home, right? Malarkey. I get, like with anything, once you've had silk, it's hard to go back to cotton, you know? Once you've had stuff in 60 frames per second, it's hard to go back. But as I've said many times on this show, forget the PS5 players who play on Stadia. Forget the Xbox Series X players who play on Stadia. They're a tiny, tiny minority, yeah? They're the tech fiends or whatever. The majority of people coming to Stadia are coming from old gaming, either from the original, either from Xbox One, either from PlayStation 4, whatever, where everything was on 30 frames per second, for goodness sake, Anyway, I played, I'm not saying it's an excuse, but your experience, I acknowledge it's difficult when you've played stuff in 60 frames per second, and then you get that expectation. It is very disappointing when you don't get it. Now, I played Ark Survival on the Games Pass Xbox about 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. Didn't know what the hell it was. What it was meant to be, like a Minecraft without any instructions. I thought it was a beta version. And so I was expecting a much better version, at least a version with a tutorial. Yeah, but it's not. It's the same old game. Why do you release a game and you have to sort of guess what you're meant to be doing? I have no idea. No idea what I'm meant to be doing in Ark Survival, other than it sort of smacks of a Minecraft survival game. And I punch a tree to try and get some bits and then make something. But I don't know how to do it. It's horrible. It's horrible. Anyway, so the game in itself I find horrible, personally. And I just need somebody maybe to show me what to bloody do. Yeah, that's the one thing. It's an old game. And it looks like an old game. And it's not remastered. So it's not as though they've remastered this game. Yeah, and then they're rolling it out on the Xbox Series X, PlayStation 5, and Stadia in the remastered version. Yeah. No. It's an old game, and they've literally they've just literally ported it as is, as far as I can see. Yeah, without any enhancements. They've just taken the existing, what by all accounts looks like the existing console game, and ported it. Yeah, that's it. Job done. Put it in the port machine, pulled a lever, spat it out. There you go. Ported it. Yeah, we took this old console version, stuffed it in the port machine. Right. Now, the fundamental difference, it is an old game. And so, maybe it was an incentive to, improve it. Now, normally I'd be going, well, that's what it is. It is what it is. Maybe it would take a lot of effort to enhance it, improve it, all of that. But, ladies and gentlemen, Jem, our lovely Jem, posted a video based on something from Reddit. Shout out to Jem. Not with the adverts. Shout out to Jem.
On how to fix Ark Survival and Stadia.
And basically how you can, and it's a great video. If you've not seen the video by Jem there,
called Revolutionary.
You see, people, I'm already getting there, ladies and gentlemen.
Posted a thread.
He basically showed you how you can change the settings
on Ark Survival on Stadia
and the frame rate.
And after I did that, I did more
it makes
research,
a hell. Let's just
you can also
shut Jem
change
up
the
here for a
graphics
minute.
settings and
Go and watch the video if you want to find out. The point is, it makes a hell of a difference. Yeah? He made a couple of tweaks by going into the console of the game, calling up the console by whatever it was, pressing the funny squiggly button between escape and tab, making a few alterations in the code, and the game comfortably will run at 60 frames per second with enhanced draw distances and graphics. And it took Jem, as he demonstrates in this video, it took him all of 30 seconds to do. Yeah? So it does beg the question, why the hell wasn't it delivered like that? Yeah? I can understand if it was a difficult port and, and then literally them just doing a cutty cooker port, taking the Xbox version, yeah, or the Xbox One version, or the PlayStation 4 version, whatever, sticking it in a cookie cutter port, pressing the button, as I said, And there you are, there's your port, without even going in to see whether it could run better, to see whether they could make any improvements, yeah? So it smacks to me, you'll see here, you'll see at the bottom of the screen there, he's got the console open, and then he can put in coding directly, and it enhances all the graphics, basically. You can have it uncapped, although that's not recommended. But it smacks to me, ladies and gentlemen, of a lazy port. Like I said, they literally just ported what they had, job done. Yeah? Unless there's another explanation. Look, as I said, the game is old. It looks like an old game. The design aesthetic, see the way the character sort of moves like this. Select your character. You know, it's that old game aesthetic, that old game design aesthetic. It looks like an old game. Plays like an old game. It was never graphically brilliant anyway. You know, it was never graphically an amazing game. And you know what? In 30 frames per second, to be honest, it plays okay. If you know what you're doing, it plays. And it plays certainly as well as it did on my Xbox when I tried it a couple of years ago. But it's curious that 3 simple commands, you know, that Jem put in, managed to vastly improve the game. Imagine if it had been delivered like that. I don't know. Look, I'm not one of life's whiny moaners. Yeah, you know that. I'll leave that to Reddit. Yeah. But what I don't like is unanswered questions or scenarios that lack logic, you know, where there's no logical explanation, which suggests to me there's a piece of the jigsaw missing somewhere. And that irks me. Yeah, it irks me when the logical path has not been followed, the obvious logical solution, which would have been delivering the game in a better state. When we know, as Jem has proved, we know Stadia can comfortably handle it, yeah? Look at the water there. And when he changes it, you can see the trees in the distance that weren't there before. So one can only conclude that it is a lazy port. As I said, take the console version, stick it in the port machine, press the button, spits out the other side, done. Look, see all the trees suddenly appear there. It's usually the most obvious answer that's the right answer, which makes me think it's just a lazy port. It's an old game. Okay, it's not a game that's being enhanced for other platforms, as I said. They've just sort of done a straight port end of. And I can see that being the approach, you know, that was taken, clearly. And I'm certainly not off on some conspiracy that, you know, oh, Xbox told them they couldn't make it any better than their version or anything like that. You know, when the obvious solution, it's just a lazy port, is probably the answer. But let me know, you know, let me know what you think, because to me, that's an easy tweak, an easy patch. We make enough noise, maybe they'll do something about it. I don't know. You know, to do what Jem did, just get the developers to do what Jem did, 3 simple instructions, and then lock it in. Probably what, a week's work, top, including testing and QA, right? Tops, I reckon. If that. It's not as though it's a big, you know, major bug fix or anything like that. I mean, again, look, don't get me wrong, the game's not that amazing anyway, personally. But I don't know. Sometimes, you know, other ports, I kind of think, well, maybe they were difficult. All these sort of things. But clearly, maybe the port itself was difficult. But changing the code is three instructions. And then just lock that in. So you do, lock it in. That's the only thing. Anyway, I think, I did tweet out to the developer, don't tweet to Stadia. Don't tweet to Stadia's community managers. I get, lodge your protest and stuff like that, or you're unhappy, but ultimately, and Stadia to a certain degree certainly should be, pushing for it, but, maybe they didn't know it was that easy. Stadia could easily throw money at that if it's a week's work. 3 people. Yeah? And I'm being generous. 3 people could do that. 1 person. I've worked at a developer before, and there's been a one person on the job to do a tweak or a patch. There's a small patch like that, easily. So I tweeted out, "Hi Studio Wildcard, I'm curious why this is how you don't go, for God's sake, you suck dick," kind of stuff. Yeah, none of that rubbish. Be nice. "I'm curious why the Stadia version is locked on low graphics settings and 30 frames per second, when Stadia can comfortably handle higher settings and 60 frames per second. See video." I shared Jem's video with them. "Any chance of a patch to lock in 60 frames per second and higher graphic settings?" Yes, Cult of Stadia, I am still waiting. I don't suppose I'll hear anything, or any of us, but I think if we all politely ask and indicate, or share Jem's video with the indie, the message might get through. Not aggressively, not in a kind of 12-year-old Call of Duty gamer fashion like some people are on Twitter. Yeah, angry, Mr. Angry. Yeah, adolescent angry boy. No, nicely. Yeah, remember the tale of the North Wind and the Sun. Yeah, Aesop fables. Don't be the North Wind. "Oh, blow the man's coat off. Oh, blow it off." Be the sun. Persuade the man to take his coat off. What you on drugs, Clive? No, it's Aesop fable. I remember it from my childhood. Anyway, there we go. Lazy port is all I can conclude. And yes, I'm still waiting to hear from the indie. I don't, expect to hear from them, but if we all tweet them politely, there we go. You never know. But yeah, based on what Jem has shown us in that video, how easy it is to get it set, lock it in at 60 frames per second, enhance the draw distance, give the graphics an overall polish with 3 simple instructions. I don't know, it defies logic to me why they haven't done it. I'd be quite happy, Zaran, if they just locked it in at 60 frames per second rather than have a gamer mode, I'm not asking them even to give us that many choices, which would be cool. Again, not too difficult, because the variables are those 3 variables that Jem pointed out. So, I suppose that's not that difficult to do. It does beg the question, how many other games? Some I think are more complicated, but this has revealed, if anything, this has revealed that Stadia is quite capable of running stuff. And I think some ports are literally straight ports, no enhancements, which is understandable when you're paying for a straight port. It's different if it's they're making a new version for PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X, and we get that version. Yeah, that's slightly different. That's a different project. That's not a port in the same way. That's a development rather than a port. Porting the old games, it does seem that some of those much older games do seem to be just straight, no twiddling about, straight ports, which is a bit, It does indeed, Inled. It does show the power. The power's not truly been tapped. I think we could probably safely say that. We see glimpses of it. Games that were developed directly on the platform, as it were, which I would say Doom Eternal, which was a project. Remember, it was almost like a Stadia project. And that showed, because there they spent time with Stadia, trying to push Stadia in its early days as well to get the most out of it, and that paid off. So, yeah. I have to agree, Ray. Lazy devs. But if we can put pressure on them, polite pressure, I don't know. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, that's my thoughts on Ark. I don't like the game because I don't know what I'm doing anyway. I'm not sure whether it's going to improve my enjoyment of the game right now, because it's so... I can't understand how a game doesn't have a tutorial. A game that launches you into just like a list. You look like you're in the developer mode. You just get a list of servers. As far as I can see, what are you meant to do? You pick a server. And then you're off. It's like, no, oh, pick this up, press Y to do this, press X. It's just like, I don't know. I can't be bothered to watch a YouTube video all about it to learn how to play it. I see people enjoying it. In fairness, though, you know, once people are into it, they're enjoying it, you know. And I can see that if it's a sort of that Minecraft survival kind of type game, building your home, building a fire, building tools. I get that. Too right, mate. This is the shit, man. Yeah, too right. Anyway, rumours here. It's not a rumour. I'm making this rumour up. I'm putting this rumour out there. It might be a lost cause now, but I'm going to say this. Lost Judgment is due out, I think, later this month. Lost Judgment, sequel to Judgment, which is, talking of good ports, is a pretty good port from Sega. Impressive port. Talking of Japanese developers, I forgot to mention Katamari Damacy, Bandai Namco. It's a Bandai Namco. So continued support. Make a note of that. Continued support from Bandai Namco. Good to see. Anyway, back to Lost Judgment. So Lost Judgment, I think, is due release on other platforms. So there was speculation. 21st of September. It's due. I just saw an interview that was all with Kazuki Hosokawa on development of Lost Judgment. He's the director, Kazuki Hosokawa. And it got me thinking. Oh, no, I haven't finished. I love Judgment, but I got sidetracked into another game, so no spoilers, no spoilers, man. But yeah, is it too late to be announced? Could it be a last minute announcement as we come to the sort of release date? Or is it not going to happen? It'll be an interesting one to watch. Interesting one to watch. I was hopeful. I still am hopeful, to be honest. I am still hopeful we might see Lost Judgment. Again, the problem with the logic of why wouldn't we, after we had such a good version of Judgment, other than the fact that, it was a short deal with Sega for a couple of games. Well, there are, 3 games, because there's the Valkyrie Chronicles is Sega. Tokyo Olympics is Sega. Judgment is Sega. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see. Do you think, let me know in the chat. 50p says no game. Marcus G. Knight says no game. Yeah. You never know. You never know. We'll have to see. Why's the chat starting at the bottom there? Anyway, let's go to chat, he says, even though it's starting at the bottom. Let me just refresh. Chat. Right. Refresh the chat and none of it's coming up. I'm just going to go to chat now. But let me know. So let me know what you think about Ark. Do you think it's a lazy port? Or, as Giggle says, yeah, it can look very good. It's surprised just how easy Jem made it look. It takes longer than an hour to review a game. Are you talking about my... it's like a house, Cloudbusters. Yeah? It's like a house. When you're looking for a house to buy. Yeah? You walk in. Not for me. But instinctively. I can see potential in the game. It's just that there's a learning curve and I'm not sure whether I want to get into it. That's all. That is all. I know some people are having great fun. I saw Meg and Jem and I think Stadia Vet Gaming playing it, having a ball, having a laugh. And I could see that once you get over that issue of how the hell do you play the blooming game? You know what I mean? Even in its 30 frames per second state, I can see a lot of people are having a lot of fun on it. So, Ark seems like an ideal candidate for Stadia's pipeline cache optimization. That seems a bit advanced for that developer, to be honest. Mike Rolfe. Yeah, Mike Rolfe's still crying into his milk. 4K 60. Yeah. They did, and I can understand the expectation that everything would deliver like that, but I never expected everything to deliver like that. In the same way, I don't expect every game on Xbox Series X to be 120 frames per second and 4K. Yeah, it's up to. And while we're getting ports and stuff, all new games I expect to be at least 60 frames per second, to be honest, and 4K. And there's plenty of 4K 60 frames per second. Check out the Stadia database. There's more than you think 4K 60 frames per second in there. But certainly there's no excuse for poor games. And I think, this is a case of developers not putting the work in really for that. The potential's there. Mike Rolfe, you see, Mr. Rolfe, did you have your negative Weetabix again, Mike? Always on the downer there, Mike. All valid points, yeah, all valid points. But bring in some nice, cheery points now and then. There's plenty. I just went through what happened in August. Hell of a lot. Let's try and balance it out, yeah. But it does make me question, it does, in fairness, without dismissing your point, which is a very valid point, it does make me question who's across the ports at Stadia's end and whether they have enough personnel on it, or what the pressures are. Because they do seem to just be accepting the ports, in order to get them on the platform. And ultimately, if that is to the detriment of the platform, then that's not a good thing. So there needs to be a gatekeeper, across these things, and going back to the developers, seeing what they could do. I think my theory is there's finite resources in terms of staffing. Yeah, but it's Google, Clive. They can just throw millions of money. That's not how it works. We've had that conversation a million of times, right? They're a business unit with a set number of people, with set overheads. And I think that they concentrate their resources on the big games, the big brand new games, Madden, FIFA, Far Cry 6, Yeah, and make sure those games are optimized. The new games that come out, Rainbow Six Siege. Nothing wrong with Rainbow Six Siege, ladies and gentlemen. A fine, fine looking game. Yeah. I think a lot of the efforts go into that, and stuff like this gets through. And that is a shame, but I think it is a resource thing personally. But it is a mystery. Why wasn't it? No, Mike, we don't. Mike, at this rate, I'm going to give you a voice. Yeah? I'm going to give you a voice in my head when I read you out. I'm joking, Mike. I like your comments. They're all valid. They're all valid. Well, I don't know. I don't know what port it is. But the game was rubbish on Xbox. What rubbish? I couldn't understand the game on Xbox One, so it didn't make any... So I don't know whether it's the same that, they've just taken the console version and ported it, as I said. Maybe. And it was delayed. Maybe they just became so focused on delivering it. But again, that comes down to resources. If you've got the time and money at the Stadia side as well to shepherd it in at the right level or be aware. And maybe the person who is doing the gatekeeping, the signing up on the delivery of the ports isn't aware, because they don't necessarily, they'll go by to a certain degree what the developer tells them. Yeah. We've ported it. We're getting there. We've got a few problems. We managed to get the port. We managed to port it, blah, blah, blah. They may not be aware. So the person responsible for the logistics and delivery may not be aware that you can easily change the game. But if we make them aware now, so on the Stadia end, but if we make them aware, maybe they can go back. Whoever has that account, whoever the account manager for that developer is at Stadia, maybe they can go back. But, having worked in the industry and worked with logistics guys, they may not be, they're not necessarily tech guys from a kind of software development kind of point of view. They're logistics guys in terms of when will it deliver? How will you deliver it? Will you deliver it using our delivery system? All this kind of stuff, yeah? Not a game programming, a game developer side. And so unless they are aware, or somebody else within Stadia is across that says, actually, we can enhance that. And we know they send out teams, but I think that's what I'm saying about the resources. I think they send out the teams to the big games that we need to be, making an impression. Clearly they put money working with the QLock, the port house of Cyberpunk. Clearly they put money in there and worked really hard. I think with Resident Evil, I think they worked hard on that. They put developers in there. I mean, engineers from Stadia in there. But they can't put the engineers in with every developer. So I think, as I say, they focus and target on it. And I just think Ark clearly was not targeted. But given what Gem has demonstrated, I don't think it's an issue to be able to go back. To me, I don't understand how, they don't patch it and lock in 60 frames per second, enhanced tree line, all that kind of stuff. I don't know, unless there be an explanation, They do, Cloudbusters, they do come alive. And that's, maybe I need somebody to handhold me through the game. The trouble is, Mike, it's always played dreadfully. Yeah, to be honest, I'm not sure whether it's any worse than the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. If anything's the same. But the changes are massive. Yeah, this Paul, I totally agree. The trailers for Ark, they always look amazing. Yeah, it looks like a potato on everything. You're absolutely right. This is the thing, people. We need to balance it, right? It looks like a potato on everything, okay? That's not to excuse the developers, because PUBG looks like a potato on the old Xbox One and the PlayStation 4. And when they released it on, this is a prime example, when they released it on Stadia, it was 60 frames per second. Whereas PUBG on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, where the majority of players, you know, would have experienced it, who come to Stadia, it looked amazing on Stadia, even though it's a potato of a game, and the draw times and everything. Oh, I used to land in PUBG when I played it on Xbox One, and the building wasn't there. And then the building would draw in around me. That's how bad it was, at 30 frames per second. My son was playing, when we were playing on Stadia and he was playing on Xbox, my son landed and the building drew on top of him. And all I could hear him going, Dad, I'm here, I'm here. And I couldn't find him anywhere. It was in the church in one of the maps on PUBG. He was literally underground because the surface hadn't drawn in, and he fell underground. And he started shooting from beneath the ground, shooting me. And he killed me from under the ground where he spawned, as it were, where he landed, and then the building built on top of him. That's how bad the Xbox One version of PUBG was. A lady port. A lady port. Okay. A lazy port. Yeah, no, definitely is, Mike. Definitely is. I think, you know, Kandara, I think that's a little bonus. Yeah, I think they should pay bonuses. You know, send the team in. Yeah, that would be a good way of managing the resources. Send in the engineers on those focus games that I said, yeah? But then offer bonuses so they get financial support by the people going there and stuff like that. And then for others, give them a bonus to deliver it at 60 frames per second. Kandara, you're not just a pretty face. You're not just a pretty face. That's a good idea. I like that. Only one language corporations understand, and that's the moolah. Not wrong here. It does. It proves. It does prove there's more grunt shown so far. And that's a bit of a shame. Although you find that in the console cycle, and I will see it reflected in Stadia as well to a certain degree, the best games come out towards the end of the console life. I've said it before on this channel. When developers had a real, traditionally when developers have had a good chance to get to grips with the new technology. So same with Xbox, the same with PlayStation. It takes a while for them to really squeeze out the best. And I think we'll see that in Stadia. And while there's a rush to get games out and things like that. But it is a shame because the potential that is there, as has been proven. It does look mad. It does look a crazy game. Of course it does. Fun with friends. Doom is bonkers. Yeah. It absolutely is like Subcom. It's amazing. I'm doing a review of my LG OLED C1, and I filmed me playing Doom Eternal on that in 4K, 60 frames per second, HDR, the light, the yellow light of the gun, and it's just, it looks amazing on my LG C1. I'm not sure my camera will capture it as part of the review, but it blew me away. Yeah, it looks amazing on the LG OLED Doom Eternal. They've done an amazing job on it. It's shown its muscles. It's shown its muscles. Yeah, that is a problem with the States, AML. It would. It's crazy. The States is crazy as far as, well, it's crazy, lots of things. But as far as broadband is concerned, the rest of the world is a little bit ahead, I'd say. I'm just going to move my chat down a bit. There we go. Judgment is a great game. I must get back to it. That's not to be hard. You know, Mike brings very valid points, which are echoed, in Stadia. But with everything, what grinds me down a bit is how about some, show some of the good things. And there are plenty of good things. Free weekends, the great game, Rainbow Six Siege, port, everything in balance. You can't say all the ports are rubbish on Stadia, right? Because that's not the case. Well, they just do rubbish. No, right? One bad port does not, one lark does not a summer make. There are some bad ports. Yes, correct. Okay, bad ports. Here's the seesaw. Yeah, bad ports. There are some amazing ports. Yay! See what I've done there? Balance. That's all we are. That's all we ask for, ladies. Asteroids, that's great. I wonder how many frames per second asteroids is. I'm curious. Because literally they draw in the shape of the asteroid. I used to love that game. Of course, I think, so I absolutely agree with this notion, Kandara, but all I would say, because you know me, I've preached this all along. The 4K 60 frames per second, it was exactly the same way that Xbox say, 4K 120 frames per second, Dolby Pro, everything, blah, blah, blah. Yeah? Is every Xbox game that? No. That was a developer conference. And obviously you're telling the developer what the machine is capable of. And we have seen and demonstrated, and as I say, Doom Eternal, Division 2, the new FIFA, all these demonstrate, Resident Evil, demonstrate it is more than capable of handling this kind of level of fidelity and frames per second. Absolutely. But I think the take-up is maybe been a bit slower than anticipated in terms of pushing that and getting that, which is a shame. But yeah, it is the developers, and I just think I don't know whether the pressure is on the developers to get the games onto Stadia, whether the incentive's there. As I said, there's limited resources. There's limited resources in terms of product managers and stuff like that at Stadia. And life's not just about throwing money at everything. Yeah, they're a business unit. We know they've been curtailed in February to a certain degree. And as I said, I think they focus on certain games. They can't focus on every single port. And what's going to happen is you're going to get bad ports like Ark come through. Realistic. We like realism. Realistic and honesty. Mike, that's good. That's good. That's good. I know, Mike. You know, you want like most people. Stadia has huge potential. I know Stadia has huge potential. You wish that, and sometimes we can shout from the rooftops, oh my God, look at Doom Eternal. Oh my God, look at Rainbow Six Siege. Oh my God, look at Division 2. Again, Division 2, I played Division 2 on my LG OLED C1. I'm not flexing, just saying, like, I played it and my character was walking through Washington, D.C. in the rain. Just looks amazing for a game that's being streamed to me via the cloud. It just like still to this day, when you see it, right? It's amazing. You play outside 4G on your phone and stuff. But when you see you're having a console experience, like a better than last gen console experience, all right? You're having a better experience than the Xbox One, a better experience than PlayStation 4 by some margin. And there's no box under the telly or anything. It's been streamed to you. And it's a console-like experience in HDR, 4K, 60 frames per second. No one else in cloud gaming is offering that. No one else is near. And when Stadia hit that mark, Yeah? When they hit that mark, you can't take anything away from them. Yeah? It's just a shame that some things fall a lot short of that. And those are the things that the naysayers will go, oh, look at that, look at that. But there's plenty that show Stadia knock it out the park big time. Sony should have done the same, but what? Stadia shouldn't have pulled Cyberpunk. No way, Cloudbusters. I have to strongly disagree there. Do you mean they should have pulled Outlanders? Maybe, but not Cyberpunk. Cyberpunk was almost the making of Stadia at the end of 2020. Everybody was suddenly, Stadia was part of the legitimate gaming conversation because it was the only place to really play. So I'm assuming, Cloudbusters, that you mean, you don't mean Cyberpunk. If you mean Cyberpunk, you are incorrect. If you meant something else, fair enough. There are so many games, of course. Yeah. Make it Ark 2 an Xbox. That is, yeah. And maybe from the developer's point of view, maybe that's where all their focus is on, Ark 2. And so they've got limited resources in there. It's like it's a sort of perfect storm. Stadia not across it properly. They were probably running behind. Now, clearly, because it was meant to be released, back in January time. It was announced last year, Ark for Stadia, and got delayed until the late summer. So obviously they were rushing to get it finished. It begins to make sense that it does feel like a rush job in order to get the teams onto Ark 2, if that's what's happening. Do any of our qualified viewers or stats anoraks know in compute terms which game is the most demanding game on... Wow, good question. I guess all you can look at is when you... Cyberpunk is up there. I'll tell you, Marcus G. I'll tell you why, because I was trying to put together a gaming PC on a sort of one of these sort of pick your parts website, and what it showed you is once you'd sort of pick the part, so you put your graphics card, you select your graphics card, it would then show you of the popular games at what sort of fidelity you could play. So you can almost play like Fortnite at any fidelity, whatever. But then Cyberpunk, you'd have to spend, and this was funny because you had to spend nearly £2,000 to be able to play Cyberpunk. £2,000 on computer parts to be able to play Cyberpunk as well as you play it on Stadia. So based on the specs you needed, when I was picking the specs, to get anywhere close to the way Stadia plays Cyberpunk, you had to spend about £2,000 building your gaming PC. Just roughly when I was doing that. So I think Cyberpunk is definitely up there in terms of resources. Definitely. Yeah, I'm curious whether Mike, I'm curious whether anybody's tried that, opening up the console. Does it work? That would be interesting. That's a good shout. Red Dead is a good port. It's not the best port, I'd say, on Stadia, but it's up there. It's a really good port. I was constantly, for an old game as well, I was constantly impressed with some of the distant scenes that you get, the vistas, the views that you get in Red Dead Redemption 2. And I love the way it played. Cyberpunk. No, Cloudbusters. Cyberpunk was the making, sir. The making. You need Clive's hoodies. Yeah, get Lord Klenzel's t-shirts, man. Look. See it there. Yeah. The trouble is, it plays as well as it plays on the Xbox. I just think the expectation was that it would be an improvement, at last. That this is a chance for the developer to improve the game and release it in an improved state. Clearly they didn't. They just released it in the same state as it is on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. Oh, MV, man, yeah. I know a lot of people have been shouting for that. That would be a great game, I think, on Stadia. Stadia is the first in the league, making it the heel in the business. It is what it is. Yeah, Cyberpunk indeed was the best place to play it outside of PC. Outside of PC, that cost that cost more than $2,000. I hasten to add. I priced it up. Tokyo Olympics is such a fun game. Yeah, you've got to shout out for the right reasons, yeah. We need to demand better. But, if you, I don't want to preach here, but if you have a kid and all you ever do and moan at that kid's going to be miserable and probably not want to do stuff, yeah? Going to be disincentivized. If all you ever do is moan at the kid. So you need to give praise where praise is due. And there is a hell of a lot. But I see it's far easier for people to default into a negative state. It's the default way. Yeah. At the same time, I don't mean, go over the top and praise stuff that we should take for granted, that should be standard. That's standard, mate. Expected. But when they do good things, stand back, round of applause. Get on Reddit. Hey, wow, Reddit. Isn't this thing Stadia did amazing? Can we all just have a round of applause? Rather than, when's this coming out? I often see on comments on the Stadia blog or whatever, and they go, hey, we're going to give you a bunch of free games and a free weekend and massive sales where you can pick up these amazing games for just a few dollars and all this stuff, right? And I read that and I go, wow, isn't that great? Marvelous. 5 pro games, a massive indie sale with great deals, free weekends. How? Wow, that's great. Then I scroll down the comments and I see, where's Mafia? And it's that. Not like thanks. Thank you for all the pro games, for the massive discounts, the free weekends. Thanks for that. That's great. Yay. By the way, where's Mafia? Not, where's Mafia? Yeah. Straight comment. Where's Mafia? So it's about, praise the child, point out where they could do well. It's the old shit sandwich, isn't it? Yeah. Good news, bad news, good news. Bit of praise, not so good. How can you improve? Going forward, good praise. Optimism, yeah? That's what you need. People just say things, they do. Yes. I think we'll see bursts. I think it's a slow burn, as they say. It's a slow burn. Can I mention my LG TV again? Can I? The LG Stadia app, so built on their web OS, and I have to say, when I watch YouTube and some of the other apps and stuff, when I watch YouTube on the LG apps, which are optimized for their televisions, the YouTube especially, it's better than where I normally watch it, which is on Chromecast with Google TV. So I am hopeful that the dedicated LG WebOS Stadia app, which is due out, looks at watch, in the next couple of months, next few months, and by the end of the year, so the next 3 months, I'm hoping that it's going to really take advantage of the A9 Gen chip in the LG TV and all the kind of AI picture enhancement, and be a great way to play Stadia. So things like that. When the Stadia app launches on LG TV, I think you'll see a little boost as Google TV rolls out on more and more platforms, on the Sony TVs and stuff like that towards the end of the year, the TCL TVs and stuff like that. More and more, you'll see little boosts. Christmas, you'll see boosts and stuff. FIFA, depending on how good that is, you might see a little jump. But other than that, a slow burn is how I see it, ladies and gentlemen. Slow burn. You should say the Well of Souls. Yeah, my face melts when I look at the introduction of Ark, thinking, what am I meant to do? Why so many game streamers so anti-streaming games? Hey? Are they? Confused. Do you mean the big game streamers streaming games on Stadia? Not sure what you mean. Yeah, they do. The blog post, even people with Stadia don't read the blog post. There are 100,000 people on Reddit. That is only a small percentage of the Stadia player base. Logic dictates. Logic does not dictate that every single member of the Stadia player base is on Reddit, right? Because that's not how it works. The Reddit at tops represents maybe 10% of a base audience of something. I don't have the precise figures for that, but I imagine there are so many people that, you know, they'll get an email from Stadia. You know, like you get your updates from Stadia and it's about 2 days out of date by your email. People like that. You see people go, oh, really? A week later, and you see them go, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know that game. Whereas we're all like on it, aren't we? We're all like, oh, you know, literally 5:01. We're watching Rock Review, you know, waiting like, when's the blog post out? When's the blog post out? You know, we want to get all that information. But we are the tiny, tiny, tiny majority. So, yeah, we know as the reach gets bigger. I love playing Stadia. I know, like some people, you know, Anthony, and no, your mama knows, loves playing Stadia on his flippy phone. Yeah, his flippy phone, loves it for that very reason. I love playing Stadia on my TV. Love it because it looks so amazing, and that's the versatility of it. And I think once people get into that and are introduced to Stadia, and it's, as I said before, I think the fact that the app being everywhere, number one, but B, it's the games that will sell it. So big games like FIFA will, you know, if it looks great, which it will do, and you can't get a PS5, can't, you know, and if there's crossplay, no excuse. You know, in fact, there's crossplay on Destiny 2 has revitalized that game, as far as I can tell. Yeah, I've never gone into the options. I don't know what hell of option I'm playing. I just know it looks good and I'm enjoying myself. Yeah. It's interesting. I think there's incremental changes. There's changes that they're making at the sort of machine learning level. So there have been a couple of blog posts about that and how they're improving the cache, the sort of memory cache of the game, and improving the response of the game and stuff like that by using machine learning. So that's without even tweaking the hardware. And then I think once it reaches a certain threshold, they'll start upgrading the hardware. But I don't see that for quite a while, really. There's no need for it. those that are demanding, 120 frames per second are the minority, tiny minority. This is about playing AAA games in a pretty good quality, 4K, 60 frames per second, whatever, is absolutely plenty for your casual gamer for another 2 to 3 years. Absolutely plenty for the casual gamer. You play Lara Croft, it looks amazing. All these games look amazing on Stadia. And that is plenty for your casual gamer. They're not into 120 frames per second. If you're into 120 frames per second, right, you've got a PlayStation 5, yeah? Or you get Xbox, you've got one on order, or you've got an Xbox One Series X, or you play on your £2,000 PC, yeah? If you're into 120 frames per second gaming, right? But if you're a casual gamer who may be out of gamer, all of that's over your head, meaningless. So I think we'll see continued. The great thing about Stadia is that there are improvements that we are unaware of, or just were incremental improvements in the background. That, people have said, is it me or is such and such game improved? And as it turned out, based on the blogs from the Stadia engineers recently, no, it's not just you. There have been improvements by the way that Stadia handles the games because of machine learning and things like that. So there's still loads to do from that side of things, let alone the hardware stuff. So I don't think we'll see any hardware enhancements for a good couple of years, if that. It's about getting the big games. I think all the effort, getting the big games and constantly tweaking, improving how they play. That's the key thing. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, let's whiz past. Definitely. Very rarely do they have a sale, MJ Parks. I waited and waited. It went down to about 40 quid, I think, maybe 35 quid, $40. I bought it. It is one of my all-time favorite games. That's just it's a personal, everything's subjective, but I love that game. It is, I could do a thesis. If I was back at university, I'd write a thesis on that game. It is misleading. I have a theory about what Stadia needs to do is be better. What Stadia needs to be capable of doing, and it is playing Destiny 2 at 120 frames per second. And Destiny does play Destiny 2 at 120 frames per second at the Stadia end. And it does it so that when it spits it down the cloud to us, it plays at 60 frames per second smooth. So it has the teraflops to play games at 120 frames per second, all that. But that is so what we get at 60 frames per second is a really cool, smooth experience. So I think, and I might be wrong, but I think there's a bit of a misnomer. The Stadia is powerful and does play games at a higher rate than we're actually getting. But it's doing that so that our experience is a good experience at 60 frames per second. So, yes, it does have all this power, but we don't necessarily get the raw power. Yeah, because we get the compressed video version of that. And in order to make that experience really good and reactive and respond, I think for Destiny 2, I'm sure I read somewhere, it plays at 120 frames per second and then spits it down the cloud to us at 60 frames per second to give us that smooth experience. I think that's right, how it's done. So it does make me think sometimes about the computing power. The computing power is definitely there, but it needs to be almost twice as powerful in order to give us a level experience at 4K 60 frames per second. Wow. Well, I was pricing it up. Yeah, no, I'm talking like 4K 60 frames per second. They could probably play at 1080 or something like that. What I'd like to see is I don't know, a Connect. Maybe something for Christmas. Or where we're at and where we're going around the 2 years, yeah? I think there should be. It'd be nice to have something on the 2-year anniversary. But don't hold your breath. Yeah. It's a good way of doing it, Marcus. Yeah, true. Drip feed. That's what I'm saying. Just sometimes remember what you've got. You know, this constant drip, 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 drip. And you forget your bucket's overflowing. I'm full of the analogies. Yeah, there's a backlog of games. Yeah, well, there's plenty of good. You know, it's not perfect. Of course it's not. I think we've been there, but, you know, balance. Yeah, I'm not sure much tech upgrades, but the machine learning upgrades, definitely. There were 2 blog posts by Stadia engineers about how they've improved the gameplay and the game experience. Should check them out. I've talked about them before. And they're really interesting, quite techy, but you get the idea. Oh, there we are. You see, you're backing up my Aesop fables. Exactly. I think a lot of people will be having a Wizard of Oz moment if we could see behind the scenes. Yeah. I'm pro streaming. Oh, I don't know, but they get most of the... Oh, Tuesday. Is it due on Tuesday, the DLC for Dead by Daylight? I think we will. We get all the DLC. Yeah. Ubisoft is great. Never will be. It can bring your mood down, put it that way, Reddit. Yeah, same here. I can't go back. What happened to Pro 4K 6 frames per second? Still there. Just, you know, where it's available. Highlight of Grime. Yeah. I need to go back to it. I was enjoying it. 10.7, not 11.7. Holy shit, this looks like a first day buy. We're talking about their judgment there. 4K high 60 without DL. Yeah, his PC 4K at 30 medium settings. Yeah, you have to spend a lot of money. I have a link to the behavioral research on PUBG from Texas and a paper on the ecological knowledge acquired by players. Wow. Interesting. Definitely read the developer blogs and the Stadia engineer blogs on the improvements they've made in the back end. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, there we go. Another show. Don't forget, we're expecting more news this week, of course, probably tomorrow as it goes. Although it was Labor Day today, so I don't know if that have an impact. Maybe later in the week. I'm not sure. Have a wonderful week anyway. Enjoy your Stadia time. Maybe somebody can come and help me play Ark and understand what on earth I'm meant to be doing. At least show me, and then I might start enjoying it. Because I was a big fan of Minecraft. I do love survival games like Minecraft, building your own tools and all of that. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, have a wonderful evening, a wonderful week. Why don't we do this next week? Same time, same place. See you around, ladies.